Hi everybody, it's Amy from Amy J's Creations. I have got just about a half an hour to film this before I have to leave because me and my daughter are going to go see this new Spider-Man movie in the theater. And I had to refilm my German version twice because the first time I had my fan going right next to my phone and I was like, nobody's going to be able to hear anything over that fan. So fortunately, it's not that hot in our house, so I can film without the fan on. But yeah, anyway, okay. So let's just dive right in. This is everything I've worked on in July. Now, I did a Christmas in July this month, and I picked out 5 projects. And one, of course, my Sunday stitching was one of them that I do every Sunday. And then I had 4 other projects for each week in July that I worked on. There were a few extra days, and I gave that to one of the projects, which I will show you. But in the evenings, because I am one of those fortunate people who has lots of time to stitch, so during the day I stitched on my Christmas stuff, and in the evening I stitched on my full coverage, which is, again, Van Gogh Never Met the Fellowship by Unconventional X Stitch. I got 1.7% more, so about 4,000 stitches. And there's a lot of dark blue. There was some dark green, but the thing you can mostly see is the orange that got added. That is a bright orange. It just pops. This thing looks so good. Oh my gosh. I just love it. I'm not even bothering to show you the bottom because I literally have not stitched anything on the bottom. I'm just working on all the itty bitty little stitches that are all over the top here because this is the bulk of the work. Because all this is just giant swaths of the same color. It'll go quick. So that's what I'm doing. It looks so good. I'm so happy. Yay! Okay, so then my first Christmas piece that I worked on was my lavender and lace. Let me show you really quick here. Lavender and lace Celtic Christmas. Okay? Now, I gave this the extra days because it is the most complicated piece. It had the most that needed to get done still. And, yeah, so it needed it. But I ended up not bringing it to Salzburg. I'll talk about that a little bit. Because I thought it would be too complicated. I need to concentrate on this. So I switched it out, even though that was because we left on Wednesday morning. So I stitched on this Monday and Tuesday, and then brought my Prairie Schooler Santas, which I will show you, to Salzburg, and then finished this, and we got back Monday night. And so then I kind of juggled in between. Anyway, it ended up that this did get the full time that I meant it to. And look what I was able to stitch. All right, so I got that whole side, all right here, is new. Look, my needle's still right there. That is all new. And I did a whole bunch more in the dress, especially down in here. And in fact, while I was working right here, I had stitched this whole outline, and the very bottom of her dress, that was what I started with. Okay? And then when I got down here, there was something not adding up. And I was like, oh my gosh, did I stitch this whole dress wrong? It took me a while to figure it out. And partially what took so long is because I was panicking, people. Panicking. Oh my gosh, how have I messed this up? It was this here bottom. I need one more little, I stopped too soon. Because they looked so similar, I stopped too soon. So I just had to pull out a little bit of red that was from the border, and then I was able to fit in everything else from the dress the way it's supposed to be. Phew. So, yeah, that's that. Panic, crisis averted. But yeah, that is looking so dang good. Oh my gosh. So happy. Okay. So then, what did I said I brought my Prairie Schooler Sanders. Now, if you may remember from my last video, but if not, it's okay. I'm here to remind you. These were brand new. I just bought these. So these were not started at all. Okay. I'm stitching them on 40 count. I don't know, something from Zweigart. Because I want them to be a little bit smaller than the 18 count. And I worked on these in Salzburg. And I even worked on them as we were driving around in the car. In the car, people. And I was surprised when we got back to our Airbnb every night. I noticed I only stitched 3 threads instead of 2 threads in a couple of places. And like it was really easy to just kind of fudge around, fix it. But look how far I got. Look at that. These were not started. And in 1 week, I got both of them this far done. And that's while we were on vacation doing fun stuff. I didn't stitch as much as I normally would. And part of why I got so far is because I was able to stitch in the car. Oh, I just am so happy. That light's kind of working. Okay, there we go. Oh, so good. Okay, while we were also in Salzburg, we have been there. We have been blessed to be there, have visited Salzburg many times. And so this time I wanted to do a few things that we normally never do because they're a little further outside of Salzburg. We weren't staying in Salzburg, and so we were able to go see these things that were farther out. And one of them was the cathedral that Maria and the captain get married in Sound of Music. Amazing. In Monte. It was gorgeous. And my favorite thing to find in all cathedrals in all over Europe is, do they have actual bones from dead people in them? And this one delivered. It had 2 skeletons. Yes. They're usually saints or like the guy who built the cathedral, something like that. I love it. I know I'm creepy and I'm weird, and it just makes me so happy. So that not only is it cool because that's where Maria and the captain got married, but also because of the bones. And then another place we visited is the area where the hymn or the Christmas carol Silent Night was written. So the actual church that it was first performed in is no longer there. It had gotten too damaged from too much flooding, and they had to tear it down. But they rebuilt a small little chapel as a nod and a memory on the same spot. And right next door, there's a whole museum. It's the house that was where the writer of the poem lived when he was the pastor there, or the priest or whatever. And so we visited that museum. It was very lovely. Inside the little chapel, I took my shepherd's bush cross stitch and sat in the little pew and stitched on this. Then I took it home, and the next Sunday I finished it. But that one will always be special to me because I stitched it in the Silent Night Chapel. Pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. And inside this chapel, okay, they have this little altar. I'm going to keep holding this up while I talk. And in this altar, there was this white cloth that had cross stitch on it in bright red, a beautiful like dome of a church, and it said Silent Night, Holy Night. Well, it said Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht. And it was gorgeous. It was really, really pretty. And so in the museum and the gift shop, I asked the lady what she could tell me about that cross stitch. Where did it come from? Who cross stitched it? How old is it? Do they have the pattern? And she was like, I know nothing. That thing is so old. I have no idea anymore. And I was like, ma'am, so old. The white of this linen that it was stitched on was bright white. The red of the thread that was used, the floss, whatever, was this beautiful, dark, deep, rich red. It was just glowing with color. It looked like she finished stitching it last week, whoever it was who stitched it. I was really impressed. So that made it even more special that I sat there and cross-stitched this next to somebody else's cross-stitch in the Silent Night Chapel. Favorite memory. And then as soon as I finished that, I started another one. This is the Stitchy Princess on Etsy. This is her nativity scene. Now, I originally bought this thinking I would stitch these figures individually and make them stand-ups and stitch them on a slightly bigger, on a bigger count. But I changed my mind. And because I'm looking for, there is a different pattern of stand-ups nativity scene that I want to stitch that are more full coverage. So these I decided to go ahead and just stitch normally. That light is doing weird things. I don't know. Here we go. But anyway, so yeah, I stitched that. It's a new start, and I got quite a bit done. Now, the stars up in the sky are almost the exact same yellow as the cloth. In real life, you can kind of see it, but not great. I think I have a gold filament, like one of those blending filaments, that I think I'm just going to use one strand and kind of stitch the top stitch on everything that's supposed to be goldeny, glowy, sparkly, to make it stand out more. And also the star in the middle, I will do that with. But yeah, I'm using all the called for colors on this one. And once this is finished, I'm going to stop with nativities on Sunday. I stitch these every Sunday, but I'm going to switch once this is done and do Christmas. The other projects that I've worked on during Christmas in July, I'm going to work on those on the Sundays, and then also all of November to try to get them all done by Christmas. If I don't get them done by Christmas, that's okay, but several of them will be for sure finished, and they will be much closer, and I can work on them a little bit in December. But that's my plan for that. Now, that was a lot of Christmas, and I had fun. Okay, and I have other Christmas projects, but my birthday happens to be in the middle of July. And so I hemmed and hawed about what I wanted to do for my birthday. Several different outings, things to do, and my family, bless their little sweethearts, they are up for whatever I want to do. They will make it happen. I am very, very lucky and blessed that my family loves me so much and is so accommodating. And so I kind of hemmed and hawed, and then the night before I said, you know what, guys, I want to cross stitch all day and watch movies. And they were like, okay, Mom. Now, granted, I did cook my birthday lunch because it's a family recipe, one that my mother used to always make me growing up, chicken broccoli casserole. It's so easy, although it's a little harder here because we don't have cream of chicken soup. I have to make it from scratch, but that's fine. Tastes better that way anyway. So I cooked the lunch, but the whole rest of the day I cross-stitched. My oldest and my youngest baked my birthday cake. And I don't even remember what we had for dinner. I didn't care. We had cake and fruit or something. I don't know. It didn't matter. I got my birthday meal. Anyway, it was a lovely, lovely day. And I started a new start. I bought this in Kutzenhausen a year and a half ago at the big giant cross stitch event that they have. It's like a festival for over 3 days in Kutzenhausen, which is in France, but it's got a German name because it's in the Alsace. So sometimes it was German, sometimes it was French. They were, a little schizophrenic, depending on who was in power at the time. I bought this there and I decided I wanted to start it. So I did. And that is what I was able to stitch on. I got so much done in one day because I literally was allowed to stitch almost the entire day. Now, I watched a really great movie. I really loved it. I cannot remember what movie it was. I just remember that I liked it. And that is because I am 56 and perimenopause messes with your brain. 5 children messes with your brain. And yeah, but I remember that I liked it. But what I do know for sure is I stitched on this while I was watching it and I got a ton done. And I'm super happy with that. And my idea is I am going to, much like the leap year salve that I stitch on the 25th of every month, except I haven't stitched on it for 3 months, but it's fine. I've been doing other stuff. I'm far ahead anyway. I'm going to stitch this every 17th in honor of myself because I deserve it. All right. Then the next Christmas project I started on was also a new start. And these are the Shannon Christine freebies. Now the little snowball right there. Ooh, there we go. The little snowball, that is new this year. The others came out last year and the year before. But they all use the same color palette. She's so good about that. And so I started with the red, stitched the reds, then stitched the whites. Then I went to the browns. And as I was stitching the browns, as you'll see, I did it on several of them. The gingerbread house obviously is going to have the most brown. And just as I was about to start on that, I realized I had used the called for darkest shade of brown as the lightest shade. There's only 2 shades of brown. And I went, oh. And I looked at it and thought about it and went, I don't care. And went through my DMC floss and found a slightly darker brown than the shade that I've already stitched to be the dark brown. So that is the only change I made. But yeah, my gingerbread is just actually a nice gold, nice crispy brown instead of the pale brown she originally designed it as. But yes. So I got a lot of those done. And I left space on the fabric in case she comes out with new freebies this year. More, besides just the snowball. Please understand, I do not expect her to give us freebies. I never expect anything from any designers. But her pattern has been to release a few Christmas freebies here and there. And so I am leaving room on this fabric in case she blesses us with those wonderful, sweet gifts that I will then stitch as well on here. So that is that. I stitched on this as well during our Swiss cross stitchers meetup. It was very, very lovely. I don't have time to give you a super long detail account, but it was amazing. We had a few new people come. And one of them was Tanya, who I met in the doctor's waiting room of my daughter's doctor's office in Zurich. I pulled out my cross stitch, and immediately this lady comes up to me and is like, oh, is that cross stitch? Do you cross stitch? I cross stitch. Anyway, and then her doctor came out and called her so rude that it was time for her appointment, and we wanted to keep chatting. So I grabbed her phone number really quick and added her to our WhatsApp group that we have for all the Swiss stitchers that want to be a part of it. And she came to the meetup, and it was lovely to see her. And she brought for everybody this gorgeous floss and these cute 3D printed floss rings with this little fun little bobbly on it. Very kind, Tanya. Then my friend Francisca, she owns Color Fever. She's the dyer. She brought floss for everybody. She had 2 different colors and you could pick one, which was very, very kind. And if you'll notice, these are similar colors because Amy has a type. And then she also brought, just for me, she'd bought, there's a group of us that have been meeting that were the core kind of group of this Swiss Stitchy group. And she was on vacation and had found this and gave one to everybody else, but hadn't seen me to give me mine. So first of all, it's super cute. And then it opens up and it's a little, for my ends, it's a little trash can. Isn't that so cute? And there's two little containers. And then it snaps closed. Thank you, Francisca. She's like, I've been carrying this around in my bag for forever and I haven't seen you. So that was awesome. Okay. Yeah, it was lovely. It was we rented a space in what I did not know existed until now. It is a secondhand store for crafting items in Switzerland, and they have a workshop that you can rent. It's got a nice big table, and it also has like a sewing machine and a bunch of stuff. We didn't use any of the machines or tools. We just used the table and chairs. Um, and I bought a few things. One of them was two giant pieces of matting board, kind of like canvas, kind of like this, but twice as big, still sealed in their plastic, 6 francs each, which is a great deal. And I cut them up to use to mat, to frame my own stuff. And then I found this giant piece. It's 4 meters, so like 4 yards of this linen fabric. Now, this is a loose weave, but this is, I swear, almost the exact same stuff that I stitched Little Bo Peep for my mother on. She had started Little Bo Peep, and I finished it for her. And there's a companion of Little Boy Blue. She already bought the cute ceramic buttons, 30 years ago. And I decided I gotta stitch her Little Boy Blue and put it. And so I was super happy. I have been wanting to stitch it for a while, but it was like, I don't know where. She bought it at her local, cross stitch store that doesn't even exist anymore. Well, they exist. They don't sell cross stitch supplies anymore. And so I was like, I don't want to be on mismatched fabric, but I guess I'm going to have to. I don't know. Hemming and hawing. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, the universe wants my mother to have Little Boy Blue. So I will be starting that in the new year, because I got plans for the rest of the year. But that is that. And then she'll have a companion piece. And then in 100 years, when my mother finally goes to heaven, and she's definitely going to heaven, but in 100 years when she does that, then I will get those pieces back. So I'm stitching them for her to enjoy for now. They'll be mine later. Much later, hopefully. But anyway, she already has Little Bo Peep, and it's on her wall in her bedroom, and she loves it. But I got to do Little Boy Blue for her. So that was a great find. And it was only $7 for 4 yards of fabric. Yeah, buddy. Okay, so then my last and final stitch was this. This is Twin Peak Primitives Christmas Market. And I had the top row of the little stalls, and most of the tree was already done when I picked this back up again. So I finished the tree and added the gold to it. And then I did all these, the organ and the carousel and 3 more stands. Now the original calls for these to all be different colors, but I don't want that. Because Christkindl marks in Switzerland, in Germany, in Prague, and in Strasbourg and Colmar they have a theme, and they're all the same. Okay? So like they're all decorated the same. They're all the same color, and just what's inside them is different. So I didn't want to make them all different. I don't know how they are in the Netherlands. That could be that they're all different and they're just random stands. Or maybe they did it just to make the pattern more fun to stitch. But for me, they're mostly, there's a theme. So I chose light green and dark green, light green and dark green. And I'm kind of doing them, obvexling them, switching them opposite of each one every time. Also, another change I made in the organ and on the carousel, what is gold that you see there was originally supposed to be dark brown. But I decided that would easily be gold in real life, or like brass. So I stitched it with the same gold that I used for the tree. And I may add it in a couple spots down here below. This was only 5 days worth of work and not even 5 full days. And I'm very pleased with that. These houses are solid stitching, whereas these are not quite. And for some reason, these went much faster. I remember these taking much longer. And it probably was because I was hemming and hawing and changing a lot of the colors. And so every time you do that, it seems to always take longer to stitch. But because then this decision was already made, these next ones went a lot faster. So that is my stitching for the month of July. I had a very successful Christmas in July. I'm very happy with my progress. And my plan now for August and then September is I'm going through all my whips except for Christmas and Halloween items and giving them each 5 days. I have too many whips. It's like 25. Now I know some of you are laughing that that is not a lot of whips, but for me, that is a lot of whips. And I want to get that number down. I get antsy. It kind of, I stitch them because I want these things finished, but I can't finish them because I have so many. And yes, I started something new on August 1st that you will see when we discuss what I stitched in August at the end of the month or next month. But still, it's too many. So I want to, that's my plan, is to give 5 good days on each of them. Then in October, I will stitch on just my Halloween whips, fall Halloween whips. And then November, I will return to everything I just stitched for Christmas in July. And hopefully get them finished. I mean, I've got a lot of progress. I think it's possible. And also, that's why I'm stopping stitching my nativities on Sunday as soon as this last one is done, so that Sundays are also free to work on some of this Christmas stitching. And then if there's a few pieces that are not quite finished in November, I still have all of December to keep me in the Christmas mood. Or maybe if like Shannon Christine comes out with a couple new ones, I can add them in. But it won't be so overwhelming because I already, by that time, will have finished a lot of my projects, I'm hoping. Or they'll be so close to a finish. So that is my idea. Salzburg was wonderful. We're going to America in 2 weeks. I am going to see Sarah from Our Stitching Kingdom, and I'm going to see Kay from Kay in the Cave, and I'm hoping to see Jenny from Stitching Jenny, who has not made a Flosstube in a long time, but you know, life gets busy. I can understand how sometimes you get overwhelmed and just take a break and then it's hard to come back. But I'm hoping to see those 3 ladies, not all at the same time, although Sarah and Kay definitely. The plan is to meet up at Shepherd's Bush again because I didn't have enough time the last time I was there. And yeah, it's gonna be busy because I'm going down to visit my parents. We're going to Education Week at BYU. We're going to be moving my daughter into her apartment and getting her all settled in there and set up with everything. Seeing my son and his girlfriend. But you gotta meet with your stitchy friends. I have to meet with my stitchy friends. So that is the plan. I will come back. We're leaving it, like I said, in less than 2 weeks. We're not back until September 3rd or 4th. And then like that day I come back, I've got book club at the library and then a movie night at the library. So it will probably be like into the second week of September before I can film. But the beginning of the second week, I'm hoping. So that is it for me, I guess. Thank you very much for watching and subscribing and for leaving comments. I really appreciate it, and I love my little group of loyal watchers and commenters. I hope you have a wonderful August, and I will see you in a month. Bye!